What's going on, everybody? This is Ketchup and Mustard here from Los Angeles. Once again, we were here at Summer Game Fest for Mortal Kombat 1. We've got to say thank you so much to Warner Brothers UK for sending the two of us out here for this capture session. We had about between 30 and 40 minutes to capture, and what you're about to see is quick fire information. There's a lot of new stuff, and we're going to try and keep it as digestible as possible, but in this video, there's a lot to cover.
Now, you have to keep in mind, pre-release, anything could change, but like I said, we do intend on having some more detailed videos coming out, but we wanted to get this one done before we flew home.
Oh, there's so much stuff.
Oh, there is so much to talk about. But we wanted to get, just talk about the game, give some thoughts, go into as much detail as possible, but I'm telling you, there is going to be a lot of information very fast, so strap yourselves in, let's go.
First of all, the up block, a new defensive mechanic. Holding block and pressing up will activate almost like a parry. It beats jump-ins, it beats overheads, and who knows what else it beats. We didn't get to test it thoroughly, however, a successful up block will open the opponent up for a decent punish.
And that's going to be quite a common thing in this game. A lot more adding to just defensive mechanics. Obviously, jumping very prominent in MK11, for example. And instantly, there's something you can do about it. And a quick example of a punish.
We're showing off a couple of Liu Kang moves here, but the big thing we do in this moment is with a fatal blow. We want to look at how long it takes to come back. And the big thing you would have noticed there, a cinematic startup, which was something that I think this mechanic definitely needed.
Yeah, so fatal blow is back. It comes back on whiff or block, sure, but ultimately, it's not just going to be like a desperation move. It has that slow startup. Your cameo has to be not on screen for it to work. And right here is a quick look at the movement, right? So it's dashing instead of running, but you cannot cancel dash with block in this game. You have to commit to it, but you can cancel it with a movement option or an attack. So I don't know if that's going to open some alternative style of wave dashing, but we are back to dash movement, but it's dash movement that you can't block out of.
What you're looking at right now is our first attempt at cameos and a few extra strings kind of sprinkled in there. This is a chopped up version of our first ever impressions and time playing the game. So a lot of this that you're seeing here is using it for the first time. What you saw right there, Sub-Zero's back too. That is a single button, but it launches and leads into a full combo.
This is an overhead as well. This is a launching overhead that Sub-Zero has, leads to good damage, very unsafe on block, but that kind of go-to layer 1 combo tool. Look at some Liu Kang strings now. A lot of Liu Kang's buttons seem to be quite reminiscent of MK11, right? He's got the forward 4, he's got the kind of standing 3 kicks for just kind of confirms and whatnot. Yeah, you see it right there, just kind of, what was that, 3-3-3 sequence?
3-3-3, and that one is 3-2. 3-2 has an overhead ender, but with the low fireball, there is an element of an overhead low that can be added by cameo pressure, but that's something for a little bit later. We're looking at a bit more Sub-Zero, and this freeze right here, this is actually Sub-Zero's ticket to stuns mid-combo without having a cameo. You have to do the ground freeze instead.
Now I think, yeah, this is our first look at air combat. That's what we're calling it. It was called that in MK1, or MK Armageddon, I should say, and it's back in MK1. Basically, if you put your opponent in a high enough juggle state, you get access to new aerial strings in the air that work exclusively for juggle combos. It's really interesting. We don't know how deep it's going to end up being, but it's certainly brand new to the Netherrealm era of MK.
Speaking of which, you can see it again. Sub-Zero's, I believe, 1-2 in the air will do that splat. He's the only character in this build that has the ability to bounce them off the ground, so there are not universal options. Some characters can do things that others can't, but it can lead to wonderful combos, which turns Sub-Zero, I think, into quite an accessible character. We're taking a look at some of the fireballs here. Liu Kang in this game has quite a few options, and we go over them throughout this video. But speaking of fireballs, you would have seen it there. Flawless block. Flawless block is back. However, it prevents chip and it prevents meter gain for the opponent, but it also does not lead to as many options before. And that's a big change.
It's basically done for individual attacks. You're not going to be doing attacks or launchers or whatever out of it. It is purely done to negate chip and meter build on the opponent. So it's back, but it's not going to be as front row and center.
What you're seeing here is some use of the cameo, the combo breaker right here. You need to have a cameo available, and it takes all 3 bars. Basically, all of your resources for a combo break. But here's something we were told that we did not record. You can break fatal blows.
Yeah, for the first time in another realm Mortal Kombat, the super is breakable. You know, it's not going to be that kind of free chunk of damage. It uses very much all of your resources. And remember, Fatal Blow is not tied to the super meter anymore. So you're going to have a lot of bar, but you're going to have to spend a lot of it if you want a combo breaker to come through.
That right there is one of the cameo assists that Jax can do, and while we show these, we have to mention there are two types of cameo attacks. One of them is called a summon, and the other is an ambush. The summon cameo is when your base player stands still while the cameo comes in. That is a bit more restrictive. However, the ambush version, aka Kano's knife toss or Jax's air grab, you can move while these happen. And the difference between these two is incredibly important.
look at
right
that.
here. Sub-Zero can combo off his normally uncomboable low with an ambush assist.
Yeah, and it just opens up so much creativity. And don't worry, we will be making a video just going over cameos in great detail, so we will be doing that as well. But even at first glance, right, this is literally what you're seeing our first ever time with the game, and we're already seeing cameos and
Hence
thinking,
all
what
my
can we do?
crusty combos.
But even there, like the down two in the corner, still leading them to be full screen. Like, there's a lot of returning features, but they're also different, right? They've got just slight changes to them.
This is disgusting, by the way. Being able to go into a throw and having the Kano ball ready to go to get damage regardless, which leads us on to that throw game. A forward throw always uses your cameo character, and a back throw uses the base fighter that you're playing. If the cameo is not available, it engages a shove. Now, we don't know what the frame data is. By the way, that's a ridiculously cool recapture that Sub-Zero has. The throw game is so heavily based on your cameo that it's going to be a big part of the match.
You see that corner combo, by the way? So the clone is...
pretty good, mate.
So
pretty good.
The clone is back, but as we said before, Sub-Zero's Ice Ball is actually quite slow in this game, so you're not really going to be comboing into it from standing strings. However, he kind of has an ice version of Scorpion's Hellfire that when you do the EX version of, freezes them right there. That's basically EX Hellfire, but for Sub-Zero, and that is his standing freeze. So if you use that to freeze on the ground, and then you do a clone, you can basically get 2 freezes in one combo, which leads to some real juicy opportunities.
We're doing a few extra special moves here. This is the wake-up system. The wake-up system has more elements to it, but however, their armor exists, but it can still be broken. I don't know if other moves have maybe more than one hit. That remains to be seen. But here's the wake-up situation. Armor essentially gives you MKX wake-up attacks. However, if you use a summon assist for your cameo, that can also act as a wake-up, but I believe it's more like MK9 with slight invincibility. So there are 2 different kinds, and also 1 delay only. There is no multiple delay wake-up in this game.
Yeah, so basically to TLDR it, MK9 wake-up is the summon cameo wake-up attack, and armor wake-up is basically EX. Like MKX style EX moves. And they don't just have armor on wake up either. Like, so Sub Slide EX is armored always. It just obviously is your go-to wake up. And by the way, Sub's got a dive kick now that you can combo from.
Not only a dive kick, but a dive kick that he can combo from if he's at the correct height. So no doubt we're going to be seeing that a lot more. And speaking of special moves, the EX flying kick, the EX flying kick for Liu Kang does grant you a launch. Now these combos, I gotta say, it's actually very simple compared to what we would eventually learn. What you're looking at right now is our first ever time with the game. We were fortunate enough to have a little bit of extra time, not to record, for obviously the sake of fairness and everything else, but to sit and just play and learn. And I cannot stress enough that what you're seeing here isn't even scratching the surface of what is possible even in this build.
No, like cameos are the game. Like real, true, they are the whole point of the game, right? You pick your cameo and it completely shapes your offense, right? Calling a cameo to make unsafe things safe, using it for combo extensions, using it for higher damage. I mean, there's just so much you can do, right? I mean, even like basic Sub-Zero combos like that, which use the new mechanics. Look, throw into knife toss. Imagine if I could combo from that if I'm quick enough. Like, the possibilities are just non-stop. Like, I cannot stress enough how excited I am to see what cameos do at a higher level when this game fleshes out, because like the possibilities are just tremendous.
Now we've got to say, some of those more aware viewers might have noticed that Jax's ground pound does hit both you and your opponent, so that's a huge part of the game. And Jax's air grab assist move with his cameo, a major part of combo extensions, and you're not really going to see them in this video, but eventually I was doing things like launch into a 3-hit string, into Jax air grab into a continuation. So the combo potential, especially with the cameos and then the air combat on top, I'm very excited to see the creativity getting opened up by an overhead there. Sub-Zero's going to get an ender into a new move, the ice push, as it were.
Yeah, he basically makes a clone of himself and sends the opponent full screen on it. It's almost like a Noob Saibot clone, but ice. Oh, and speaking of clone, we're having a look at clone. You'll notice we specifically looked for clone into throw for the freeze that you normally get in MK9 and X. Not the case in this game.
No way.
It's not up for long enough to guarantee it, but the clone still nullifies projectiles and obviously still freezes on touch and lets you do extra combos in the corner. So.
Speaking of nullifying projectiles, this is something that we noticed instantly. Sending out a cameo fighter to essentially absorb a hit of a projectile, you take a little bit of damage, but they basically sponge that hit and allow you to either create some more space or to get in yourself. So again, the cameos, they develop a lot. Jax has his grab here. Some of you might have seen on Twitter, certainly not from us.
Oh, by the way, overhead into Fatal Blow.
Oh, yeah,
overhead.
We're bringing that back. We're bringing that back from MK11. Jax's forward throw with the cameo, you can spend meter to make it do more damage. You can spend up to 2 bars, and at that point, it does about 20.
Oh, and worth noting as well, if your cameo takes damage, you take damage. And right there, like if you've got those projectiles that let you extend, that is basically cool Kano, commit to a normally unsafe string, and on hit, full combo. And you know, you see me try a few different options. Like we said, we played some like off of recording, and there are so many more combos from these options. Like calling the Kano ball assist that you can charge, and going for like, you know, normally an unsafe option, letting the Kano ball go, but they have to read when you're going to let it go. Like, it really just opens up so much.
When we were playing after this, and by the way, you can get so much more than this. This is very much a proof of concept into the air fireball, of which is a new move, you know, for Liu Kang having that many projectiles. The extensions are rather extensive, and even right there, that normally would work, and then you could finish it into something else.
But you do kind of get used to it. Like,
oh, you do, for sure.
It just takes time. Like, don't expect to just pick the game up and then, like, in 5 minutes, you're going to be doing super extended cameo combos, because you do just need to get used to it. But it feels kind of like using MK9. If ever you play tag mode in MK9 and you're calling tag options for, like, certain things, it's a bit like that. I would say that's the closest comparison we can do right now.
Even right here, when I was going for the jumping into Fireball, it's better off that Liu Kang can go for his grounded launcher, because he will still have time after the Jax.
By the way, I was talking before about that overhead is normally tremendously unsafe, death on block. You can call the Kano ball assist, which is, again, it's an ambush assist, so you don't need to be locked in place. Commit to an unsafe overhead, and on block, just let the Kano ball go. And it opens up that dynamic. Also, down 2 anti-airs, Sub-Zero's was so good.
Liu Kang's wasn't so good. I think, again, it's character by character. Do not fear, though, when we were playing this, I was getting a lot of mileage out of Liu Kang's standing 1 anti-air. So the combination of various buttons and then the up block could, in theory, present some strong anti-airs, but time remains to be seen.
The actual jumps themselves are quite floaty, so you will have a long time to commit to the up block if someone is just never faking out into empty jumps, and you really have a lot of options there.
But overall, a lot of this that we're seeing so far, like I said, it's immediately early days. I think this is reflected heavily, I think, by a lot of the other content that talented folks on YouTube have been able to put out themselves. There's a lot of this learning period, and you're kind of along for the ride with us. This immediate first impression, very different story to even the smallest amount of extra time. And I think that comes down to the creativity and options that have been presented to the player. Most characters have a grounded launcher of some kind. The gravity mid-combo seems to be, at least in this build, incredibly generous. So the point is, day one with this kind of game, I can't wait to see what people are going to come up with.
But like, even if you're playing a character that has like low options for like juggles or stuns or whatever, just pick a cameo that does, and that instantly is going to make up for it. Like I really don't know what it's going to lead to making a character good or not in this game.
But that's going to be it for today's video. We wanted to be quick fire, information. But on that note, stay tuned. We're going to do a lot more in-depth breakdowns when we return to the United Kingdom, where proper editing can begin. One final thank you so much to Warner Brothers UK for sending us out for this event to capture Mortal Kombat 1. We were asked so many questions about what's in the game, how does this work, how does that work, and we kind of wanted to try and concentrate as much of that into this first video. So if you kept up with us, We appreciate you.
Now, I'm going to say it just real quick. I know this was quick fire. I know it was a lot to keep up with, but trust us, there is more to come. Just let us land in the UK, let us get home, and we'll get back to it. Thank you so much, everyone. Once again, thank you, Warner Brothers and NetherRealm, for all the help and assistance in us coming to Summer Game Fest. Take care of yourselves, and we'll see you very soon.